Today on Go Island, we are in the middle, quite literally, of a Brazilian Ju-Jitsu class here at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. It's with Island Top Team. We're going to get sweaty. Today on Go, looking ahead with Lanceville Mayor Jack DeYoung, the Vancouver Island Short Film Festival, and Ken Levine. That and more today on Go. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. You might remember this guy. I almost broke his arm a couple weeks ago. This is Robert. He's with Island Top Team. He's a black belt in Brazilian Ju-Jitsu, and there's a class going on right now here at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. It's full. Who are these people?
These people range anywhere from young men in their 20s to, we've got several VIU students, including that lovely young lady there.
She's brave.
She is brave and she is awesome. And we've got several professionals in their 30s, 40s. We have CEOs, business owners that train with us. There's a very diverse group. Their common thread between all of them is the fact that they are searching for legit, high-quality Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instruction, and we are the only club in the Central Island area that offers that.
And bursting at the seams by the looks of things.
Yes, indeed. We are on the verge of starting a waiting list because we're pretty close to capacity, as you can see. And the Nanaimo Athletic Club is actually expanding to accommodate the demand for our program. They have procured a building permit from the city of Nanaimo to add a larger room for our training facility and also to expand the women's only section of the Nanaimo Athletic Club.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more later, and you probably need to give some coaching and stuff, so
I definitely do.
Don't feel like you're abandoning me. We'll catch up with you a bit later, and we'll find out why these classes here at the Nanaimo Athletic Club with Island Top Team are so important. We're going to throw things over now, though, to Rayanne LaPlante. She's hanging out, just spending some time with the mayor of Lanceville to find out what's in store for that community in the coming months. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. I'm Kate Bergen, and this is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class underway at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. It's hosted by Robert of Island Top Team. The classes are full. We're going to look into more about what happens in the classes later on this edition of Go Island. In the meantime, there's probably a few tattoos floating around here. I got a couple myself that I won't show the camera at this particular moment in time, but it's not uncommon for people to tattoo the names of loved ones, family members, children, perhaps your mother, onto your body. But as Jen Morenitz tells us next, there's a young man in Duncan who is tattooing the names of strangers onto his body. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. I'm Kate Bergen. A little bit nervous because we might get rolled on. This is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. This is Robert. He's with Island Top Team. You were giving these guys some instruction. What were you telling them to do? How were you coaching them?
I'm coaching them in the intricacies of how to strangle people or keep from getting strangled. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually a highly technical frankly, it's a science. There's a lot of, as we discussed in our previous interview, there's a lot of mystical nonsense in the martial arts that gets passed off as fighting technique. And what we're actually employing here is the science of using the most efficient mechanisms in the human body to systematically pick your opponent apart. So to access levers and to cut the other person's body effectively in half by defeating the legs so we can focus the entire force of our body against either an arm or a limb. And the guys in this class are practicing holding a position called the mount, which is an entirely dominant position where you can either punch someone or submit them with a choke or an arm lock or something like that.
A whole lot of trust that has to exist between the two people doing this. It's scary.
Very much so. And it's not just between the two people doing it, but also between the people doing it and the instructor. And that's frankly one of the reasons that our classes are so popular, is because people who seek out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu want to know that they're getting qualified instruction, and having somebody who's spent 10 years studying this.
I keep thinking I'm going to get totally knocked over here.
That's one of the great things about learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is you develop, other than self-defense skills, is pretty good spatial awareness. So hopefully no one's going to bang into you.
Make for great TV if it happens anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the trust thing, and it's good that you bring that up, because we've really worked very hard to develop a family atmosphere here. Like, this is not a fight club. This is not a bunch of guys that are looking to become gladiators. outsiders coming in here. This is a team that helps each other grow and learn, and we do put our safety in each other's hands, so we're actually very careful about who we let attempt to strangle us or anything like that, because we do need to make sure that we're safe and that we're not hurting each other. So that's been a definite emphasis in here, is the sort of the family aspect of it, that we're teammates and we got to help each other.
And I can feel that when I come, and we'll look at that a little more later on this edition of Go Island. It does have a really good feel. The atmosphere in here is fantastic. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class on this edition of Go Island after a short break. Still ahead today on Go Island, the Vancouver Island Short Film Festival is this weekend in Nanaimo, and Ken Levine one-on-one with Sucheta Singh. That and more still ahead today on Go. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're just breaking bones over here and strangling people, or at least learning how to do that. We're in the middle of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class here at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. That's Robert. He's with Island Top Team. We'll talk to him a little bit more later on this edition of Go Island. It is movie season. The Golden Globes have happened. The Oscars are around the corner. The Vancouver Island Short Film Festival takes place in Nanaimo this coming weekend. The Victoria Film Festival runs February 1st until the 10th. It's movies, movies, movies everywhere you go. Dan Kahn hits the streets in Victoria to talk about your favorite movies next. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4 from Movie Talk. And a bunch of sweaty men and women doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Not a bad gig for a job, I tell you. Anyways, I digress. From Movie Talk with Dan Kahn to a preview of the upcoming Vancouver Island Short Film Festival. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. There's some strange kind of sweet nothings being whispered behind us here. There's a couple of guys in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class here at the Nanaimo Athletic Club. What would they be talking to each other about?
Well, they'd be talking to each other about how to properly execute the technique. We put a great emphasis in our classes on correct technique and proper principle application. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not just a collection of moves, it is a collection of scientific principles that, if applied correctly, apply everywhere in fighting. Like, generating force with the human body is universal, whether it's punching, kicking, grappling, takedowns, choking, whatever. There's a correct way to do it, and there's an incorrect way to do it, or there are less correct ways to do it, but there is an optimal way to do it. So they're generally trying to replicate the most optimal way of doing it.
And my journalistic mind is going to the why. Why would somebody want to know how to do this?
Well, for two reasons. Generally, one is self-defense. So what you have in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts is the most proven and effective method of self-defense. It's been tested at the highest level of competition, whether we're talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, whether we're talking about the UFC. These are the most effective methods for a smaller, weaker person to overcome a larger opponent, or a mugger, or anybody who's trying to hurt you. So people seek it out for that reason. People seek it out for fitness, because the thing about working out is, generally, if you're lifting weights, if you're running, if you're doing something like that, is you get to choose when to stop. When somebody is on top of you trying to choke you unconscious, you don't choose when to stop.
And that'll push your fitness level.
Exactly. And not only that, there's a tremendous amount of self-development and self-knowledge that's created through this kind of training, where, because you're put in a position where you're uncomfortable, where, again, somebody is actually physically trying to defeat you with skill, and you're not able to simply power your way out of it, or rage your way out of it, or squirm your way out of it. You have to apply technique correctly. It demands a level of focus and presence that simply doesn't exist in other forms of exercise. It can actually be quite a philosophical experience. A lot of people compare Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to a game of kinetic chess. It's chess with the human body, and so it's extremely demanding on your faculties, and it's a challenge like no other.
How long have you been doing this? You're so passionate.
I've been doing martial arts for almost 20 years, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for over 10 years, and I'm glad that my passion shows, because I am very passionate about teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm very passionate about the proper teaching of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which we asked a little bit earlier about the size of our classes and why they're so popular, and I mentioned how it's because we're the only legit program. Because of how popular Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, there are a lot of let's say, unethical people.
You called them retards last time.
Well, there are a lot of unethical people who attempt to teach something that they're not qualified to teach. So you'll see somebody who, opens a gym and, I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm a blue belt. Guess what? You're not qualified to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's like going to a hospital and them telling you, hey, your brain surgery, it's going to be done by a first-year med student. That doesn't work. So the reason that our classes are so packed is I think a lot of people are starting to come around to this idea that if I want to learn proper Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I have to come to a black belt. I can't go to just some guy who's trying to jump on the bandwagon of a popular martial art despite being totally unqualified. So that's where my passion comes from.
I'm going to apologize. I hope I didn't offend anybody out there with my comment. And before we go, what's up with this?
Little knuckles got jammed up a little bit. It happens. We just buddy tape it and we keep going.
All right. Yeah. And we're going to keep going with this edition of Go Island. More passion in store for sure. Ken Levine will be performing with the Vancouver Island Symphony on Sunday, February the 10th, 2 o'clock at the Port Theatre. And a second show has been added. It'll take place at the Qualicum Beach Civic Center on February the 9th at 7:30. So you can catch February the 9th in Qualicum Beach, February 10th in Nanaimo. Ken Levine. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.